What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Zebec today, ZBCN. It is the 21st day of November, and here we are, my friends, at about $0.0234, 2345 right now. Can we get a 23456? Nope, we just moved up. 8 hours, 8 minutes left in this day. Hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into it. So we have delved just below the lows from July 6th. I want to say that was July 6th, yeah, that low was on. Yes, July 6th. We delved just below these lows, and this was something that I wouldn't have bet would happen, but we were prepared for. We did talk about the possibility of going below these lows. I think I adamantly said I don't think we go below these lows. I think we find a higher low. But if we did go below these lows, we had we had very strong levels of support here, right? Prior resistance, prior turbulence back here, resistance, and on a closing basis support. There's a lot of support back here, okay? And that a move just below this low might be exactly what you need to capitulate the markets, capitulate people into selling their Zebec at probably the worst time, and then the smart money, the big dogs, they're loading up the truck at the best time, right? And what we were looking for is if we went down to these levels, that you would have a positive reaction, that it would be a short-lived experience below this low here. And so far, you're doing just that. So that's good. That's good that you're getting this reaction. Now, it needs to continue. It needs to persist, and it cannot come back, right? The more that we flirt with this area of significance, the less significant it becomes, and then we look for new areas, right? Maybe as low as 2.015 or 1.4, which from here would be detrimental. It's already detrimental, but it would be even more detrimental. Hold on. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Yes. 0023 is the price right now. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame. We'll zoom out from there. Okay. A little bit of volatility here and there. Looking at the 1 hour time frame and Bitcoin especially, things are definitely bearish. Things are dropping through the floor right now across the space. We're looking at the 1 hour indicators. We do have bullish divergence on the RSI. We do have bullish divergence on the stochastics, and the MACD is bearish as hell. This bullish divergence formed from this low point here between these 2 points. And while we are down a little bit right now, we've got 6 minutes left in this 1 hour time frame. I would think this move does persist to this point and beyond. We likely do push up to about 0025 to 0026, somewhere in there. We're at 00233 right now. That'd be my thoughts. With this, we could find resistance and push lower. We still could go lower, but we don't want to see that, right? If we go lower, we'll have a different discussion. I'm pretty comfortable calling for this to be the low. We haven't seen enough to validate that yet, but I'm pretty comfortable with it right now, just because we found resistance back here, right? We are slightly below this point here. The market's fearful. It's a perfect fake out situation. We don't have enough in the charts to validate that it's the low. I'm comfortable calling for it, but I'm not confident yet, right? Comfortable calling for it, but I don't have the confidence yet that it is a low. Not until we are closing days back above. We probably have to close back above 003. Yeah, 003 is the line in the sand to watch. Once we get above there, then I think we're safe. Until then, it's kind of up in the air. The 4 hour time frame, if we're looking at this, 4 hour RSI, we do have a bit of a double bottom, which is nice, suggestive that the low is in as well. Stochastics are bearish, not a whole lot going on there, and the MACD is also bearish, not a whole lot going on here. Again, it's more of a, call it a hunch, rather than any kind of signals in the charts that are suggesting that this is the low. The only signals that we're getting are from the RSI and really just from the price action itself. If this is to be a low, again, the conditions that we gave before we got below this low was that if we find support below this low, which could happen, is that it would have to be a very short-lived reaction. We cannot be down here for too long. If next week we've been down here still, we likely go lower. If 2 days from now we're still down here, but then the next day we move up, we're okay. It doesn't have to be right now, but the sooner and bigger that the reaction is, the more convincing and compelling it will be that this is the low. Okay. Let's see if we're looking at this on a weekly time frame. Let's just see. I want to look at this. Let's see, from a high here to a low here. It's absurdly common to go from your 1414 area down to your 786, 886 area for support, and we've done that. Unfortunately, we found resistance at the 1272 twice. and now we're turning things around, right? We're kind of going from a productive look to a deconstructive look. So if we don't find support here, the next immediate target would be the golden ratio at about 0.0185. And then below that, we could find 0.0015 or even 0.0126 at the lowest for support. If we don't hold these levels, Zebec really is in trouble, and it might just never come back. So let's avoid messing around with any of these levels. Let's avoid the scare and find support here and just move up higher, right? That's what I'd like to see out of this. So as far as what's my call, because I feel like this video, I've kind of left it up in the air. We're taking the bullish and the bearish stance. I would say I'd like to take the bullish stance. Again, I hinted at that by saying I'm comfortable saying that we're at the low. I'm not confident, but I'm comfortable with it here. I will become confident that the low is in once we start closing days above 0.03. Nice round number, nice psychological number, and then also on a daily time frame, that was our last kind of shelf of support before we broke down and came down lower. Technically, by the way of the fibs, we would get bullish again once we're above 0.0028. But because Zebec has been a little tricky, I want to see us above 0.0033 and really maybe even above 0.0033. Not 0.03, but 0.0033. Maybe even above there before we get completely convinced that this is the low. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. But again, there's been a lot of, in a market that has been full of surprises lately, it's completely possible that Zebec has lower to go. So be open-minded to that, right? I think it's a perfect time to buy. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but whenever we're down from the all-time high, we're down 67%. I think it is a good time to buy, as long as you have conviction and you can hold through the downside. Remember, the fundamentals for Zebec have only been getting stronger as time's gone on. It's fundamentally better as far as a project goes now than it was here at the top. If anything, it's more valuable. It should see growth. It should see higher prices. And then something else I want to talk about, actually, I was going to end the video, but something I need to talk about that I'm sure a lot of people are questioning, I'm sorry I didn't mention this sooner, is what are the prospects as far as new all-time highs go? Because we've been talking about 3 cents to 7.7 cents for a long time, right? What are the prospects as far as that goes? How likely is this still to happen? I think likely we still will see a 3 cent to a 8 cent Zebec at some point. When we move up again, this is the target area that I have in mind. However, we were talking about this being by the end of January. That would be somewhere in this range by the end of January. Now it's looking like that'll more likely be sometime later in the year. It'll likely be sometime in maybe February or March. It could be later. We don't know. It really all depends on Bitcoin. Earlier today, I made a video on Bitcoin talking about how with drops like this, typically, when we get this low in the RSI, typically what happens, and at least since 2022, what we've seen is we will consolidate for about a month or two, and then we move up higher. In that consolidation, we can see lower lows, but we'll consolidate for about 30 to 60 days. 30 to 60 days typically. It can be shorter, it can be longer, but typically, at least since 2022, it's been typically 30 to 60 days. In that time, I doubt that Zebec, while Bitcoin's consolidating, I doubt Zebec is on a run. You know what I mean? Anything can happen. Zebec kind of went on a run last time while a lot of cryptos were being boring. It's not that it can't happen again, but boring is different than turmoil, you know. I still believe 3 cents. I still believe 8 cents. This target area is the next area to be attained. And maybe from this level, maybe it's more likely 3 cents to 6 cents instead of 8 cents, right? Or even 3 to 4.5 cents. Maybe at this point now, the 2 cent target can come back into play because from a low to a high, the expectation has been that we would see a bigger move, right? That we're in a 5-wave count. If that's still true, then I mean, yeah, 2 cents could be the target. If we saw a matched third leg with the first leg here. What are the requirements? I believe that if this is to be a corrective phase, we can't go below the golden ratio. So if we go below the golden ratio, I think at that point then this is no longer a valid theory that we have a 5-legged count, right? We might be in something else. It could be a busted thought. Anyways, just some closing thoughts to leave you guys there with. I do believe we will see new all-time highs. I do believe it'll happen. But if you're counting on this to happen by the end of January, it likely doesn't happen. Because again, I think Bitcoin will probably likely consolidate for another month or two. And in that time, I just can't see Zebec or the rest of the market getting bullish and seeing new all-time highs, right? That doesn't make sense to me. Either that or I'm wrong, and I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong because if Bitcoin can move up faster, if we see Bitcoin back above like 106K by the end of the month, guys, if we see a sharp V-shaped recovery, then I would say at that point, prices above 3 cents by the end of January are possible still. But until we see life in Bitcoin, we're in limbo. We're stagnant. And the best that we can hope for at this point, I think, is to just not go lower, to hold this line as support, to have a nice sharp recovery, to provide that this is the low, and then we can build from there and restructure ourselves. I got nothing else. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one, okay? Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.